In an interview, video game developer Rami Ismail said, "The current political and cultural climate is the reason in media we are the bad guys now. Muslim blood is the cheapest in the world." And if you played Call of Duty or Counter-Strike or any other first-person shooters, you know that this is true. But Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix released Marvel's Avengers on Friday, and maybe you noticed that the story isn't driven through a typical Avenger. Kamala Khan, or Ms. Marvel, a Pakistani-American Muslim teenager girl from New Jersey, takes center stage in an attempt to save the world and reunite the world's mightiest heroes, while also proving herself to be one of those heroes as well. Her appearance, though, is important not just for the Avengers and the storyline of the game, but for us as well. Come check out why. The world changed after 9/11. Restrictions on travel went up, surveillance across the world went up, we became more wary, more paranoid. But most of all, the perception of Islam became skewed, distorted for many because of the actions of a few. This also affected how Muslims were represented in video games. For a medium that thrives on good guys and bad guys, good and evil, occupying the same space for a defined period of time, assigning the bad guys became an easy task for developers. From Counter-Strike to Call of Duty, you could count on Middle Eastern or Muslim-affiliated bad guys. Years after 9/11, it is also true that the campaign and election of Donald Trump fueled more anti-Muslim rhetoric and action in the United States. For context, here are some statistics. Since 9/11, attacks against Muslims have remained consistent, according to research from the Pew Research Center. But since Trump took office, the numbers have skyrocketed, surpassing numbers from 2001, which had been the high point. In 2016, there were 123 total reported incidents, and in 2018, there were 188 reported incidents against Muslims in the United States. Remember, these are just reported numbers, and the FBI stopped tracking hate crime numbers in 2018. These numbers should hint at why the inclusion and foregrounding of Kamala Khan is so important. Representation matters, and as video games continue to rise as the entertainment option for the masses, how people and groups are represented becomes more and more important. Here's another way to look at this. Kamala Khan breaks a trend of Muslim protagonists who are defined by their religion rather than their ethnicity or their humanity. There's also a trend that defines Muslim and Arab characters, especially the women, by their suffering, which makes them fairly flat characters. Take Farah from Call of Duty Modern Warfare. She's a strong woman, but she's also been abused, and her story is largely about how she's been forced into war. Her pain and suffering are the center of that story, but this is not true for Kamala. She is strong, but she is also vulnerable. She is a teenage girl capable of lying to her parents about going to mosque, having crushes, pursuing her passions, and even standing up for what she believes in.
What if they don't like my story? What if it doesn't fit in? It's got to be perfect, you know?
When you were born, your brother said you had googly eyes.
What?
But I thought your eyes were the most beautiful things I had ever seen. We are all unique, Kamala. You should be proud of who you are.
I love you, Abu.
I love you more. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna win this thing.
Oh, could you imagine? And the winner for best fan fiction ever is Avengers versus the Evil Sewer Lizards by Kamala Khan. And the crowd goes wild.
That's the spirit. Promise me something. Win or lose.
Oh, I'll always be good, Abu.
Oh, beta. Good isn't a thing you are.
It's a thing you do.
That's my girl.
Central to her character is her humanity, and that humanity is filtered through many things, including her faith and her new abilities, which are called inhumanity. This is important. After all, we never look at white characters and define them by their Christianity. Good writing will always center the humanity of a character rather than using pieces of them to define their whole character. But it is also undeniable that Kamala is not what many consider to be the typical Avenger. Just having her in front of the eyes of players means that there is a positive representation of a historically mistreated group of people. Marvel is also one of the biggest entertainment franchises in the world. Regularly, their movies make billions of dollars. Marvel comics are read all over the world. And now Ms. Marvel is at the center of that franchise's newest installment. The turnaround on Ms. Marvel has been fairly quick. Her character was introduced in 2013 and had her own series from 2014 to 2019. She was then the lead in Champions, a separate series, and made regular appearances in The Young Avengers and The Avengers. In this series, you saw her struggle to balance her life at school, her life at home, her life as a Muslim girl, with being a superhero. All while she learned how to be a superhero. The point wasn't to say this is a Muslim superhero. The point was to say this is a superhero who also deals with many of the same things that many of us deal with, including religion and family expectations and the expectations of school. The popularity of the character is undeniable, but now that she is in a major release video game, a AAA, she's on screens of people that may not have seen her in the comics. But this also raises the question, who is playing the game? While it is important for those being represented to see themselves or people they identify with represented, will other important groups see this character? Groups that might have maligned a character like Kamala before. When disaggregated, hate crime data is gathered by state, and the majority of hate crimes against Muslims or Arab Americans, though Kamala is not Arab or Middle Eastern, those happen in the American South. To understand this, data is needed on downloads and purchases by region. Surveys of players would also be needed to determine whether the representation had an impact and what that impact was. As a big Avengers fan, I've really enjoyed playing as Kamala Khan in this game, and I hope that as we move forward, the chance for a wide array of characters like Lunella Lafayette or Moon Girl becomes the norm in games like these. It's important to see the breadth of human experience in our superhuman stories. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, let me know in the comments what you think. And until next time.